Cases focused on the role of Garth Hudson, a young information services director working under his mentor Amit Green at the Eastern Oceanography Institute. The institute is a small, independently funded institute aligned with the Eastern State University and employing around 50 full and part-time staff. The institute typically works on less than 10 major research projects at a time and around 20 smaller projects. And most staff held a mix of research and teaching roles across the institute and university. Garth is part of a small team which includes Tom and Grant. Grant is focused on working on a long-term project, but Tom and Garth are required to work closely together despite not getting on well and having quite different personalities. Although Garth is new to the organisation, he avoids social interactions partly due to his food allergies and chooses to keep very much behind the scenes, preferring to engage with staff via email, while Tom is far more talkative and outgoing and has an engaging style. In an attempt to reduce costs in response to economic and funding downturn, the Blue Sky Conversion Project is launched, an attempt to move IT operations to a cloud-based system. The new system will allow staff to access, use and share virtual services via their own virtual machine. There are many financial efficiencies to be gained from the project, as well as providing scientists with greater flexibility and access to resources. Despite some initial hesitation from other directors, the project is signed off and a migration timeline of 6 months put in place, managed by a series of stage gates, allowing for low-risk files to be transferred and operationalised first. The procurement was led by Garth, and although others voiced concerns, Garth chose a less-known provider called OpenRange. Although the migration starts off well, they ran into significant issues with the training capabilities of OpenRange. The project came to a head when a power outage caused major disruptions and shut down the Institute's operations for 36 hours. In order to get the project back on track, Tom volunteers to lead the training element and works with the staff and OpenRange to ensure that everyone is supported and the transition completed effectively. The system is eventually up and running, although 6 months behind schedule. And while Garth felt that the project turned out really well, a visit from Amit Green indicates that he's likely to be collateral damage in the downsizing process. If you were Garth, how would you respond to the director? If I wanted to save my job, I would need to recognise and own the mistakes that I made in the management of the project. It would be important for me to acknowledge the great leadership that Tom demonstrated throughout the project and recognise that as a leader, I failed my team and organisation in this process. I would need to admit that I put too little emphasis on the leadership aspects of the project that was vital in some areas and asked that I was given another chance to learn from my mistakes and grow my skills in this area moving forward. Question 2. What mistakes did Garth make? Garth made a number of errors in the pursuit of project completion. Overall, Garth was far too focused on the management tasks required of him, and he failed to see what was needed to exercise and when to exercise his leadership skills and ability on a number of occasions. Firstly, Garth failed in his area of communication. He relied heavily on broadcasting information via email and from behind closed doors. He failed to engage with his team and enrol the wider team and organisation in a meaningful way. He failed to alleviate concerns of other staff and management when the issues arose. He left Tom to front angry and concerned staff. He also likely failed in his effective communication with the contractor OpenRange, either when issues arose or where they did not deliver on his expectations. Again, these issues were left for Tom to resolve and negotiate and then to communicate and engage with the wider institution staff. Garth threatened his personal integrity. He failed to admit when he made mistakes and continued to defend his position, despite when issues arose. He hid from behind a closed office door, leaving others to deal with the fallout of the issues, particularly Tom. This may have been seen by others as Garth throwing Tom under the bus and not taking responsibility for the issues that arose or owning the decisions that he made. As project manager, Garth failed to be proactive in a number of areas. He failed to preempt issues with high-risk components such as getting staff buy-in and the training element to the project, and he did not put plans in place to effectively enrol the staff in the project before the migration took place. As a result, the team were left to scramble when things went wrong, and they had to continually convince staff and OpenRange that it was okay to keep going. Garth's behaviour throughout the project showed that he had low emotional intelligence. He failed to recognise and address concerns that his team had about their own roles and their future within the organisation post the project. He failed to recognise and alleviate the anxieties of staff and researchers throughout the process. He missed a number of vital opportunities to engage with staff directly and failed to use the project as an opportunity to understand the fears and aspirations of his own team and those within the wider organisation. He struggled with his social skills, he hid away in his office, and whether intentional or not, it showed others that he was off limits, unapproachable, and reasonably removed. This could have been interpreted by others as seeing him as unempathetic to their concerns or issues when the project arose. What are the lessons to be learned from this case? Having all the technical knowledge in the world does not make you a good project manager. The best planned and logical projects can fail and run into issues when other aspects of the project are not prioritised. Focusing on the management tasks alone will not make the project successful in time or money. Getting the balance right and focusing time and effort into building trust, building relationships, communicating effectively, listening to others' concerns, addressing those concerns open and honestly, and dealing with issues head on will help ensure that projects can keep moving forward with momentum even when challenges arise.